Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Fangirlz Got Issues, which is a new series that we are starting to kind of talk about single issue business because apparently it's a place, things to do. They read singles. I mean, I don't even know what that is. Kristen, do you know?
Apparently, it's the only reason we have collected editions.
Because you read singles.
Because singles exist.
Oh, okay. Interesting. We're not saying
they come first.
Yeah, it's a bit that we are trying, but we understand single issue keeps a local comic store alive, and because of that, we'd like to give back to the industry. And we decided, typically we are very much collected edition based, but we decided that we're gonna check out some of the things in single as they're coming out. And because to help me with that is my partner in crime, Kristen, who I already introduced right there, but I'm introducing you again. How are you doing?
That's great. Oh, I'm so excited because I'm pretty sure it was me who was like, "Hey, we should read this book together."
Right, and you kept on just texting me, "Hey," at every hour of the day. Hey.
Oh, all the hours. I'm like, "Yo, we should totally read this, right?
We should totally read this." And so, what we're reading today is Canto by
Drew Zucker does the art, and David Booher wrote the story.
Right. So this is our kind of first ever, David Booher story that we are reading. I know that he did an Alien Bounty Hunter and Priceless, both by Vault. And looking at the synopsis, after reading this, I kind of went and looked up what else, he's been up to. And I'm like, I'm interested in them. So,
yeah, and we love Heathen from Vault. So check it out.
So, so maybe in a future date, we may be talking about those issues too. But today we're going to be talking about Canto issue 1, 2, 3, because we're kind of a little bit late to the party, but, better late than never, right? So to start us off, you have the awesome cover over there. I mean, the issues over there.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of set in a fantasy world where we're not sure yet, it's a fantasy world. And in it, Canto is a being who has actually been enslaved by this other beings, and he's trying. What happens is as we kind of get more into the issues, that we realize that it's pretty harsh environment that they live in, Canto and his people. And one of his someone who is very close to was is stricken down, and she has been she's on the deathbed, and Canto has to go on a journey to go and find her heart back. That is the only way to save her. And then a lot of mystery begins to unravel. A lot of world building is happening, as Kristen is pointing out. Gorgeous art.
Oh, gorgeous.
Oh my God.
Love this so much.
And the thing is, the coloring is just so perfectly on point for this, kind of like a grim side of story.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there's, and also this paneling where
oh my gosh. I love this stuff.
It's just so heart-wrenching dialogue that's going on between them. And it's there is no picture, but it's just different color letter that has been used to kind of convey the story. And look at it. And the thing is, every single page is just so detailed, one more detailed than the others. It's amazing art. And then we kind of jump into a fantasy adventure, which, as advertised as all ages. And what was really surprising that, IDW is the one who are publishing this. They said that this is a cross between Wizard of Oz and Dante's Inferno. Two extreme spectrum of literature that is being brought together. And that's the kind of the whole first 3 issues was about. This is actually first 3 of the 6-issue miniseries, so we're going to be talking about first 3 first. Kristen, what is your overall view?
Well, I do want to also point out, Canto and his people are slaves.
Mm-hmm.
And when they come into slavery, I guess, their hearts are taken out.
Right.
So that is another big part about him trying to find her heart. They all have clocks instead of hearts now. And they're not supposed to have names. And she gifted him his name.
Canto.
So he says it a lot because they're not supposed to have identities, basically.
Right. I mean, it's we're gonna go into more details about it. It is a horrendous situation that these people live in, and the thing is, within the first three, we don't know how they get to be that way. I mean, that is part of the journey. But yeah. So overall view.
My overall view, especially for the first for the first issue, it immediately sucked me in. I was all about it. I'd give that one a 5 out of 5. For the rest of them, I'm still 5 out of 5. I want to know what's going to happen. I'm so endeared by Canto. I think he's a really great, strong character, especially with the, he's in slavery and he's dealing with a lot, but like he's being really brave, and he's, it is an all ages story in that aspect where it's like, oh, we can all do anything and we can have a heart, and like, his whole journey, I'm totally invested.
So, and you kind of completely agreeing. I mean, we're always in sync when it comes to a lot of these things. So you're not, if you're thinking about we're going to be fighting, well, this is probably not the episode. Yeah, that's another episode we're gonna save that for. But the thing is, all ages, I that kind of like, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, there's not like, I don't think there's any blood. I don't remember any blood, and there's fighting, and there's like demons and stuff. But I mean, they compare it to Wizard of Oz. There's scary, quote unquote, scary moments of Wizard of Oz. So I think it really probably depends on the age and the kid.
Right. Because I'm just saying, I'm not talking about like, blood and, I think like blood, people try to assign blood and violence to be like, oh, we should protect our young ones from that. But those kind of thing kind of goes above them. But I'm talking more in terms of like the themes, like, not having heart, like, the slavery and all of that. I don't know, like, even as if a child, like, all ages.
Well, but I mean, we learn about slavery as kids, in our history, which is horrific, just like this is. Right. So I don't know. I can see the all ages element, and it's very fantastical, and I feel like it's, if you like a Lord of the Rings or something like that, you could also like something like this. Or it kind of reminds me of like Bone. Bone is an all ages series.
Okay.
It is an adventure about a little guy like Canto, who is trying to do all of these things that are way bigger than he is, but he's doing it. So yeah, I could totally see this being all ages. And again, I think it depends on the kid.
Right. Okay. I mean, that's fairly. I was just like, because when I picked up all ages, I was expecting it to be a little bit more lighthearted, and it wasn't.
Well, I think that's a common misconception with all ages books too, because I read a lot of all ages books, and I'm always like, I'm enjoying this as an adult, So it doesn't mean like fluffy.
Right.
It can have really serious aspects to it, and I think that's kind of what this is.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, like, we're also reading it in single issues. So towards the end, maybe, it will be a hopeful ending, thus making it truly, like just.
I find it hopeful right now. But I know you just found it sad, right?
I was very sad.
There's sad parts about it, but I'm like, oh, this is really hopeful, because like he's going to get a heart, he's doing it, like you're on his journey, and you're like, yeah, you can do it, like this is great.
Yeah, but I was thinking the whole time, like, oh no, she's dying, he's gone, and there's like all this journey. I mean, so I don't like. I mean. So yeah, so there is like a lot of like, fantasy element about it. Like the same age-old story when it comes to fantasy. It's like, oh, one is oppressed and the another one is trying to fight back. And it's pure fantasy in the sense that it's not human. Right? Like, neither side is human. We are not quite sure what Canto is as a species, because, it's not your traditional elf or orcs or like, dwarf or any of that. It just, because he kind of had like a helmet, a little bit reminder of Martian from the old Warner Brothers. Like, remember that Martian in the Bugs Bunny shows?
Oh yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah, there was like a little bit of reminder of that. And yeah, so it's just kind of all his people are kind of that creature, and the oppressors are this, like, kind of like a reindeer-ish they have like, horns and stuff, and they're taller, significantly taller than them. And, pretty much Canto's people are just miners. They're mining these things for them. And they have, as Kristen pointed out, they cannot have names. They cannot, have identity. Their heart is taken from them as a baby, which is something that was shown in the very first couple of pages, that a baby heart was taken, and then instead they're fitted with a clock, and when the clock runs out of time, they are dead and they're put into the furnace.
That's pretty horrific. Yeah.
All ages.
That's probably the most horrific part about it. But they don't show the heart being taken like in a bloody, crazy way,
Right. But I think I'm kind of looking at it from the way because to me, when I'm not shown something, it becomes scarier versus if it's shown. Because now
I think that matters on the kid, right? Because I can see myself reading this as a kid, but I also was playing Quake 3 with my dad, you know what I mean? So where you blew people up, right?
Right. I think to me, I watched Terminator as my first ever motion length picture, so that's where I am starting. But the thing is, to me, showing, I'm no longer scared. But if it's left to my imagination, it just runs rampant. I'm like, oh, what do you mean? What happened?
It could often be way creepier. Yeah. Because you're thinking worse than it is.
Exactly. And so that's what I was kind of thinking about. But anyway, so as we said, Canto, it's not kind of shown, and that's the thing, we're not quite sure if this is the love between them is it appears to be very platonic, or you could take it in either way, that it's platonic, or it's a more of your typical boy-girl relationship. And so her heart is taken away, or her heart is damaged, her clock is damaged, because she stood up for Canto. And then she's on a deathbed, and Canto has to go on a journey to kind of get the heart. And that's kind of pretty much the story is about, that we're on that journey, and it's like a fantasy land. There's all these new ideas getting introduced. I loved it. I loved
it too.
And
and the art. Let's keep talking about the art, because it's so good.
So so good. I mean, we're gonna be talking about the issue 2 and 3 more in the spoiler section. I feel like that's kind of issue 1 kind of sets it up, and then issue 2 and 3 is where it kind of picks up. And anytime there's a fantasy element, I'm always kind of thinking of the world building, because that to me is very important. The world building over here was on point. Even we talked about that first issue to grab you in, and this is kind of where it does that. Within the first issue, that okay, these are the people, this is the world that they're inhabiting, and these are the rules, and now let's go. So I'm just all about that. I loved it.
Me too. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm gonna keep buying them.
Yeah, and the thing is, so 4, 5, and 6 is coming out, in, I think it's in a bi-weekly or 3 weeks time. It's
something like that, yeah.
Not quite a month, as looking at the previews, it didn't seem like it. So I'm all about trying to figure out where Canto goes, and little guy, you were saying, the little dude.
Yeah, rooting for this little dude.
Yeah, rooting for this.
He makes me happy.
Yeah. So anyway, so go check out, if you're reading, if you're already reading it, or if you want to read it based on how much we hyped it up, go check it out, and then come back for the spoiler section. So now we're going to be talking about spoiler. All right. So in this, first issue, he goes on this journey that he needs to find this. I'm forgetting, what's the terminology they use for her? The hermit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he has to go and find this hermit who knows their history, because history has been forgotten. And that's also another thing, that there is an alternate story that Canto keeps telling his friend, his female friend, all the time, that that this is the story,
the prince and everything,
right? Which is the very it's this. Issue 1 starts with that a prince who has to go and save the girl, save the princess, and becomes a king, but he doesn't want it. That's kind of the running theme. And
I love this, by the way, just seeing them how tiny he is compared to
compared to the
human, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just kind of like, as the story continues, it kind of becomes apparent that his story is paralleling, to that old fable, and how he's kind of reconciling that and how he's dealing with that. So, I would say that, he kind of goes on this journey to find the hermit, and along the way there's this Morlocks, these supposed creature who's supposed to hunt them, but this particular one is just
love this guy.
Love this guy. Like, he's just he decided that, oh no, Canto's people are not food, so he's going to be on a journey, and he kind of acts like a dog.
And he's got one eye, and he's just so like sweet to Canto.
And then so he kind of supports him in this journey, and there's this one part where it's like, oh, you want me to get on, like kind of get on you so that you can take me to places. Then there's one place like he was just sleeping, and then this big guy just comes and hugs him and then puts them together.
Their whole like journey together. I love this extra character. Like, look at this gorgeous, like, this art.
Yeah, we're gonna stop storytelling in terms of in the middle and just like, oh, the art. Because that's exactly what I was doing as I was reading it. Yeah, so, and then they finally find the hermit, who is inside a beast, like in a belly of the beast.
They're like, you're not going to eat us, right? And then they're like swallowed by the end of the second issue.
Yeah, then, because he's like, oh, you said that you're not going to eat us. He's like, I said, perhaps I'm not going to eat you. And then, so that's where the issue 2 ends, where they find find this belly of the beast where supposedly the hermit is. And issue 3, we figured out that, the belly of the beast is actually hermit's lair, and he is inside there.
Yeah, this is the hermit saying, oh, you are in the belly of the beast.
Yeah, you are in the belly of the beast. And so one thing I would point out over here, I really like the fact that hermit is called a she, but her appearance is not gender specific.
Yeah,
like, it's very gender neutral.
I like that too.
I mean, that to me, I'm like, I like that. Like, she doesn't have to have like boobs and like, hanging around there. Like, just like, she's just a person. She's in exile, and as it kind of the story progress, she tells about this other person. I'm forgetting the name. The Miracle Man. Like, what is the name?
I'm forgetting it too.
Yeah, but this other, which I think is like, talking about Wizard of Oz. It's probably supposed to be the wizard, like,
Oh,
that,
yeah.
That kind of personality, who has enslaved the slave people, like, the slavers before, and then the slavers decided to enslave Canto's people. So it's like never-ending cycle, and then she kind of rebelled against that, and she ran away. She had to run away, and kind of now living in exile. So it's like kind of adds layers, like,
it's like It's like when you can think of the enemy as more of an enemy because they've been through stuff too.
Right. Like, it's not black and white. I loved that idea. Like, Lord of the Rings get a lot of flack for everything being so black and white. Like, there's no gray area. Over here, it's not so black and white. It's gray. And the thing is, like, even at the beginning, when Canto finally meets the hermit, because he was on a journey, like, he's like, I need to find the hermit because the hermit is the only one who can save my friend. He's like, you are a slaver. Like, you have enslaved my family, my people. And then she's like, I didn't, but my people did. And this is the history behind it, which I was like, yes, this is it. Because, how does a story distinguish between, we have seen this story so many times before, right? But to me, that was the one that kind of pushed it over the edge.
Pushed it into a more unique element.
Correct.
And then after you hear all of this, like, she's like, hey, now you can rest or you can train, and that choice is yours. And I love that little moment where Canto's like, I choose to train. And then again, with the panel work, I mean, I love how this is so well done. And when you read it, it's just perfect.
I'm gonna have to say, because in most cases you're gonna see that they would have put the word bubble on top of the training montage.
Yeah.
That's taking away from the action. But now, because
action and the art, yeah.
right, so now they are like, it's all separated out. So you can just look at the art at first, then read it, and then kind of see it side by side.
Yeah, it's so well done.
To me, that's like an excellent paneling. Like that level of detail, putting that level of detail is just, it's fantastic. Like and the thing, once again, the color scheme of the lettering, you can tell which one is Canto and which one is the Hermit.
Yeah, and that's so well done, because so often, like, you know, we've read thousands of comics at this point, right? Sometimes, I mean, well, especially you, right? You've read millions, but sometimes it is legitimately hard to understand
who is saying
what, and it should never be that way. And I mean, you'll never have a problem with this, because they do it so well. They're making it very clear. Maybe it has to do with the all ages aspect, where they're not making it too complicated or hard, because they want it to be accessible to everyone, and so kids can easily understand, okay, red goes with so and so, blue goes with, there we go. And it should be that simple for adults too, right?
Yeah, because, you know, believe it or not, our brain doesn't work all that well. Like, you know, like,
sometimes
we read picture books for
people. I think some people with their layouts, like, they try to make it more complicated than it has to, or they're like, they'll know, and it's like, not always. Like, I want to be able to follow this, you know.
There's been so many times I'm like,
yeah,
like, I'm like, wait,
where did who go? Or I'll definitely read things out of order. You know, it happens more than it should. And I'm like, hold on. Oh, that went before that. Okay. Like, it shouldn't be that hard, right?
Yeah. Like, you know, all we are trying to say, we dumb.
You know? Well, Canto makes me feel smart, and I love it.
I love it too. And the thing is, it is a very smart story. Like, it's like, you know, it has layers to it. And I, for one, and we talked about like 3 issues back to back. I feel like every issue gave you just enough to get you to the next issue. Like, I mean, because this is kind of like a halfway point for the story, because it's only 6-issue miniseries. I think the pacing has been perfect so far. Like, I've known the amount I need to know.
Well, and there was never a time where I was like, you know, because sometimes you get to a story, especially if it's a miniseries, where you're like, I'm bored now. Like, there's a lull. There's never been a lull. It's been consistent. And I think you're right. It's like the exact amount that you need to keep you going.
At this time. Yeah, at this time. And though I am going to say that because it was advertised as Wizard of Oz and Dante's Inferno, I am not quite sure whether Dante's Inferno is coming in yet.
I mean, maybe it's just the fact that it's darker.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
I mean,
because making the Tin Man with Wizard of Oz and the heart, like, we get that part.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, Dante's Inferno part, I'm not quite sure yet.
I mean, there's like demons.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm trying here.
Yeah, we're reaching.
Yeah.
I feel like we're reaching. But hey, maybe the next 3 issues is about that. So we don't know. I mean, there is also the element of, like, you know, no, not even. No, I was just gonna say sticks, with the sticks and the river of like all of that. I'm like, maybe, but then I'm just feeling like I'm reaching. So I don't know about
I get
it. So we're gonna see how it goes. So thank you once again for joining us and watching. And we're gonna be back with Canto 4, 5, and 6 for our next episode.
And if you're reading them, let us know.
Yeah,
we want to know what you thought so far.
And then, you know, whether is there other ones that you would like us to do, because single issue, we got issues now, and we would like to have more issues and, you know, talk about our issues. So let us know which other ones that we should be reading, and especially if it's something like high fantasy. Like, I love fantasy, sci-fi, and also, like, if it has a little dude in it that we have to.
Apparently, we love little dudes. Let's do it.
Yeah, we love little dudes and little ladies, like, you know, or everything in between. Let us know about those. We would love to read them. So thank you so much for tuning in, and, you know, let's make this happen. I mean, a long-term thing, and of course, all our social media stuff is down below, and not to mention, subscribe so that you know when we are dropping all of this thing, right? It's a good thing to do.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, subscribe, rate, tell your friends, even if you didn't like Canto, you know someone else who liked
Yeah,
Canto,
pass it along.
pass it along. And yeah, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks.
And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.